The Boston Celtics may have shocked the league when they made the difficult choice to send away Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis before the NBA draft on June 25th, but what came next revealed a master plan that few outside the organization saw coming. Out of that draft room came a name that is quietly creating buzz far beyond Boston. Hugo Gonzalez, the Spanish teenager taken with the number 28 pick, is not just another late first-round project. He is a 6'6" wing with a rare blend of size, instincts, and untapped potential, the kind of player who in the right hands could explode into a centerpiece. Yet the Celtics are now considering whether to turn this youthful lottery ticket into a proven contributor, and that possibility is setting up one of the most fascinating trade storylines of the offseason. The idea of moving Gonzalez so early in his career might sound risky, but Boston's front office is not playing by conventional rules. With Jason Tatum recovering from his Achilles tear and the organization targeting a full return to dominance by the 2026 season, the Celtics find themselves balancing two timelines. On one side, the allure of nurturing Gonzalez into a long-term weapon. On the other, the chance to cash in on his upside immediately to secure a piece that can help keep the team competitive even without its superstar. That is where Justin Champagnie enters the equation. Champagnie is not a household name, but those paying attention saw his transformation in Washington last year. In 62 games, he posted career highs across the board, nearly 9 points per game, close to 6 rebounds, a steal per night, and a surprising 38% shooting clip from deep. At only 24 years old, he plays with the hunger of someone who fought his way into the league, and the maturity of a player who has learned how to maximize every possession. What makes this even more compelling is that Champagnie has already worn the Celtics jersey once before, a brief stint in the spring of 2023 that ended too quickly. The idea of him returning to Boston, this time as a more polished and versatile piece, feels like a storyline waiting to be written. The proposed deal would send Gonzalez along with a second-round pick in 2026 from one of several possible sources to Washington in exchange for Champagnie. At first glance it looks modest, but underneath lies a powerful statement about Boston's intentions. By targeting a player like Champagnie, under contract until 2028 with a team option in the final year, the Celtics would be betting on continuity, toughness, and versatility. They would be signaling that while they refuse to mortgage the future, they also will not sit idly waiting for Tatum's return. The curiosity surrounding this possible move lies in what it tells us about how Boston sees its next two seasons. Does the front office believe that Gonzalez, as promising as he is, will not be ready? What if the most overlooked storyline of the summer is not about trades, not about free agency, but about two big men who just collided on a European stage, leaving behind clues that could quietly reshape the Boston Celtics' future? You see, while most of the NBA world is locked in endless debates about LeBron James commercials or arguing over who is the greatest of all time, something far more intriguing has been happening overseas. In a EuroBasket matchup, former Celtic Kristaps Porzingis and current Celtic big man Neemias Queta went head-to-head, and the results were much more than just a box score. They were a potential preview of what Boston's frontcourt identity might look like in the years to come. Queta dropped 16 points with 7 rebounds and 2 blocks against Latvia, proving that his early flashes in Boston were not just isolated sparks. This is a player who is averaging only 5 points and 4 rebounds in limited NBA minutes, suddenly showing he can keep pace against one of the most skilled 7-footers in the world. What makes this fascinating is not simply that Queta played well, but that he did it in an environment where every possession is magnified against opponents who treat these games like wars for national pride. That kind of stage can turn good players into shadows or forge unexpected breakout stories. The Celtics may have quietly stumbled upon the latter. And here is where the curiosity deepens. Boston just went through a summer of painful financial decisions, moving on from Porzingis himself and from Jrue Holiday in order to escape the suffocating weight of the second apron. On paper, those exits may look like subtraction. But what if, buried beneath those headlines, the front office was also evaluating whether someone like Queta could rise into a bigger role? Not to become a superstar, not yet, but to stabilize the rotation in ways that save Boston millions while still keeping championship depth intact. Porzingis, for his part, reminded everyone why he had become such a pivotal figure in Boston's system. In that same game, he hit 5 threes, finished with 21 points and 9 rebounds, and once again looked like the kind of stretch 5 who can bend a defense in half. His health has been the great question mark of his career, Yet here, he was moving freely, firing confidently, and exchanging smiles with Queta after the final buzzer. That bond matters more than most fans realize. It signals that even when players leave, the relationships built in Boston remain alive, and sometimes those ties have a way of pulling people back. Which brings us to a possibility that sounds improbable now, but cannot be dismissed. Porzingis enters free agency next summer. He has already earned over $150 million in his career, and he may decide that chasing another massive contract is less appealing than finding the right fit. If his bond with Jaylen Brown, his trust in Boston's medical staff, and his unfinished business in Green still linger, the door to a return is not as firmly shut as many assume. Imagine a scenario where Porzingis, healthy and motivated, comes back on a friendlier deal, joining a roster that has allowed Queta to blossom into a reliable rotation piece. That is not nostalgia, that is a strategic window the Celtics could walk through. The Celtics story has always been built not only on stars, but on the ability to find answers in unexpected places. Bill Russell was not the most hyped scorer when he entered the league, yet he redefined the sport. Al Horford was written off as past his prime before he became the steady anchor of a title run. Now Queta, a 26-year-old from Portugal, is quietly positioning himself as the next surprise. His numbers in EuroBasket are not accidents, they are evidence of growth, and Boston fans should be watching closely. So while the NBA conversation spins endlessly around who wears the crown in a commercial, the more pressing question might be this. Could the Celtics' future stability actually come from a player few outside of Portugal had ever paid attention to, and could the return of a former All-Star still be in play? The answers are not here yet, but they are unfolding quietly, thousands of miles away from Boston, in gyms where the stakes feel both smaller and bigger than the NBA itself. And for Celtics fans, that mix of uncertainty and possibility is the perfect reason to stay hopeful. Payton Pritchard has seen Chris Boucher up close in ways most fans never have, and the way he speaks about Boston's newest signing should make Celtics Nation stop and think. This is not just a teammate offering polite praise, it is someone who once shared a locker room with Boucher back in Oregon, when Pritchard was a freshman still trying to find his place, and Boucher was already the relentless engine that refused to shut down. When Pritchard says Boucher never gets tired, it is not a throwaway line. It is a warning to the rest of the league that Boston may have quietly added a piece capable of redefining the way this roster looks on the court. The truth is, Boston did not just sign another role player. They inserted into their rotation a veteran who can stretch the floor, protect the rim, and most importantly inject chaos into opponents who think they understand how to guard the Celtics. Numbers and stats can only tell part of the story, because what Boucher brings is not easily captured by a spreadsheet. He is a player whose energy bends the rhythm of the game, and Pritchard knows it. That is why his words carry weight. He has already seen Boucher make plays that left teammates shaking their heads in disbelief, and now he is hinting to fans that those same flashes are about to appear in green and white. What makes this even more fascinating is the timing. The Celtics are entering a season where their frontcourt looks more uncertain than at any other moment in recent memory. Kristaps Porzingis was moved to avoid the financial squeeze of the second apron, Luke Kornet is gone, and Al Horford's future is no longer aligned with the calendar of the young core. In a single summer, Boston went from having three big men with playoff experience to staring at a depth chart topped by Neemias Queta, followed by Luka Garza, Xavier Tillman, and rookie Amari Williams on a two-way deal. To many franchises, this would feel like instability. But for Boston, it opens a door. That door is where Chris Boucher walks in. Officially listed at 6 feet 9 inches and 200 pounds, he does not fit the mold of a traditional center, yet he does not need to. His wingspan and agility allow him to erase mistakes on the defensive end, his high arc shooting keeps defenders honest, and his non-stop motor forces opponents into mistakes. Imagine a lineup with Pritchard pushing the pace, Derek White controlling the defense, Jaylen Brown attacking downhill, Sam Hauser spacing the corners, and Boucher flying end to end. That is not a gimmick lineup, it is a weapon, one that could tilt regular season games in Boston's favor before opponents even have time to adjust. There is another layer here. Joe Mazzulla has never hidden his fascination with double big lineups, using them as a pressure point against teams that could not match Boston's size and spacing. Last season that usually meant combinations of Horford, Kornet, or Porzingis. Next season, the blueprint changes. Boucher alongside Queta offers a different identity, a pairing that combines rim protection with switchable defense and just enough shooting to keep the floor balanced. Few teams in the league have the personnel to punish that kind of experiment, and Mazzulla knows it. Beyond tactics, what stands out is opportunity. If Queta or Garza stumble, Mazzulla has a safety valve. A veteran with playoff experience, a player who has proven he can change the momentum of a game with a single sequence of blocks, rebounds, and hustle plays. It is rare for contenders to add someone who can be both insurance and innovation, yet that is exactly what Boston secured. For the price of a modest contract, the Celtics gained a piece that could buy them wins in November and save them in April. The signing of Boucher should not be viewed through the narrow lens of depth chart mathematics. It is not just about filling minutes at the 5. It is about injecting unpredictability into a team that already thrives on versatility. Boston has championship talent at the top of its roster, but dynasties are built on the margins, on the players who seize nights when stars rest, who swing quarters when the game tilts, who make opponents question their scouting reports. Boucher fits that description better than anyone expected. When Payton Pritchard smiles and says, "We definitely need him," it is not an exaggeration. It is a preview. Celtics fans should not be asking whether Boucher will fit. They should be asking how far his presence can push this team. Because if his energy translates the way Pritchard remembers from Oregon, Boston may have quietly found the piece that turns an uncertain frontcourt into one of the league's most disruptive units.